this is really exciting because we're getting our word out and more exposure. People are loving it. So we'll be with you, get going here in probably 30, maybe 60 seconds. And
just about. All right. So yeah, we're just about to go live here. We're going to be going
ready
on
to
all platforms.
1,
And I think
2,
here we go.
3,
All
go.
right. I think we did it. Let's see. We'll see what this turns out.
How exciting.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Infinite Wisdom Experience. Now, over the next 20 minutes or so, our intention is to expose something that, for most of you, has been secretly running your life and dictating what you do, when you do it, and even the level of success you have.
Hey, Gary, I'm getting some echo here.
Say it again.
I'm getting some echo here.
No, I'm not getting any echo. I don't hear it on my end.
I'm getting it on my end. 1 second, guys.
Is it echo from you or echo from me?
I don't have any tabs open.
I'm not sure. Maybe it's...
Oh, there it is. I found it.
Okay. All right. There we go. Technical stuff. All right. So let's get you back here. So, again, so it's something that's secretly been running your life and dictating what you do, when you do it, and even the level of success you have or don't have in every area of your life. My name is Gary Johnson, and let me tell you, before I understood this one thing, I was always banging my head against the wall, wondering, how was it possible for me to have done so much personal, business, and spiritual work on myself and still end up feeling like I was just spinning my wheels in just about every area of my life? I couldn't help feeling like someone or something was pulling the strings and I was just a puppet with no real control. Then one of my teachers said one sentence that totally flipped the script and set me free. We are so glad you could be here today, even with all the technical stuff we're dealing with. We're so glad you're here, whether it's live or on the replay. Before we dive in, if you like the kind of content that actually gives you tools to shift your reality and experience life with more infinite choices, make sure you hit the subscribe button and join the conversation. And while you're here, go ahead and say hi in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from and what's on your mind. Let's make this a space where we all learn from each other as much as we share.
Hey, everybody. My name is Ross Arnson here, and we are very, very glad to have you here. And just so you know, when you have technical glitches, it just means it's live. It's not some pre-recorded, or it's not AI. So, but we're really glad that you guys have tuned in today. The live stream is going to open up the clouds.
It's not AI assuming we're not a simulation, which is a whole other topic.
Yeah, really, that's another live stream. And I know that there's a lot of you that may, have, felt some of the darker and the gloomy and even dire energy that have been hovering over our planet for the last few years. And for those of you who feel it to your bones, coursing through your veins and vibrating your DNA, that you're on the verge of a breakthrough, the breakthrough of your lifetime. So get ready, because what we're going to share today makes it crystal clear that your life, whether it's money problems, challenges with relationships, ongoing problem with your health, even your satisfaction, success at your job, are not all unfolding randomly, nor are they controlled by others. Your experience of reality is a simple yet complex reflection of some fundamental elements which you absolutely have complete control over. But where they were conditioned, though, into that you didn't. So this is the exciting or the exiting part where we are getting to today. And that is, there are simple things that you can do starting today, right after this live stream. Simple things that can turn things around in a favorable way even if you thought all hope was lost.
So that means if you've ever thought that you are stuck because things just don't flow the way they should, you feel the weight of the world on your shoulders and life feels heavier than you can even sometimes handle, or the effort and drive to get to different levels of success, whether it's in business or anywhere in life, it seems to take more effort than it does for other people. Maybe you notice it in your relationships, where it's a constant struggle and battle to make things work, when all you want is for it to have the ease and flow. And even when things go okay, there's this sense that something is just a little off, or that your joy is on borrowed time. You see, it's likely that you've been sold the idea that reality responds to your desires, your intentions, your affirmations, or even the goals you set. I'm sorry to bust your bubble here today, okay? Because there's one key variable that supersedes all of those things. And if you miss it, if it's overlooked or just completely ignored, you'll be stuck in a loop of almost for the rest of your life. So, what if there were a set of living truths that could help to guide you on how reality is perceived, how it's shaped, and how it evolves? Truths that could serve as foundational anchors that lock in the physiological, philosophical lens, the energetic framework, and the practical compass that you need for reprogramming old, outdated patterns and behaviors. And the cool thing is that many times just listening to them activates a deeper self awareness that opens new pathways for personal professional breakthroughs.
Yeah, so these truths that Gary's talking about are things that have been sharing, well, we've been sharing with you in a variety of ways over the last couple of months. And we call them the tenets of self. That's self is an acronym for spiritually evolving life force. And if you're new to our content, you know, it's what's it's one of the we're bringing it one of the things that we're bringing into your awareness today. So is going to be tenet number 2. So reality reflects the structure of your self-awareness. And it's simple, yet it's packed with game-changing wisdom. But before we talk about changing your life, we need to talk about your life is currently being generated. Because, like I said earlier, reality isn't random and it isn't out to get you. It's actually responsive. And that means that it responds to the structure of your self awareness. Okay, so some of you are saying, I hear you, but what does that actually mean? Well, the best way to drive it home is to talk to you about this guy named Viktor Frankl. And some of you may already know his story, but I'm sure some of you don't. And either way, it's a story that uh, it's a deep story. It really matters. And I promise it's not just history, it's a roadmap for how your life can shift when you come from a place of choice and experience reality from the inside out.
And so for those of you who don't know, Frankel wasn't a motivational speaker. He wasn't some ghostwriter writing from some sunny retreat in the mountains. Um, he
It
was
wasn't funny.
actually a psychiatrist, but more than that, he was someone who survived the unthinkable. You see, he lived through the Nazi concentration camps in the trenches, right? And the lessons he pulled from that experience, well, they're not the kind of lessons you find in a typical polished self-help book, or a well-edited YouTube short, or a crafty filtered Instagram reel, or even a trendy TikTok post. What he shared came from observing life in the most extreme, stripped down form. And what he realized was something that, when you hear it, is so disruptive that it can instantly flip how you see everything. He noticed that between what happens to you, meaning the events, the circumstances, even all the chaos, right? What happens between those things and how you experience those events? There's a space you might not even know exists at first glance. And that space, it's not about emotion. Now, we like to say it's a space where all possible infinite choices exist. We call it your choice convergence point. And some of you heard us talk about this in many streams before, right? It's not about whether you feel good or bad about something. It's a space that's all about what meaning you choose to assign to the things in your life. Now think about that. There's a space, and it's always there. There's a space that's all about what meaning you choose to assign to the things in your life. And most people think meaning is something you tack on after the fact, right? And so, you go out and you journal about it, and then you reflect, and then you try to reframe it, right? Give meaning to it. But Frankel saw that meaning is actually the lens through which the experience itself unfolds in real time. Meaning doesn't come after the fact. Meaning happens as the experience is happening.
Yeah, and that is exactly what tenet number 2 is pointing to, that reality reflects the structure of your self-awareness. And what that means is that in everyday life is subtle, but it's profound. If your awareness is structured around threat, the world will feel hostile. If your awareness is structured around loss, everything will feel unfair. If your awareness is structured around control, life starts feeling exhausting. Not because the world is doing that to you, but because your awareness is organizing the experience that way. So, what Frankel observed was that people in the exact same camp, the exact same conditions as him, same hunger, same fear, same danger, and some people folded under it. They just gave up. While others somehow they expanded, not because they were stronger, not because they had more luck, but because the structure of how they were aware of themselves and their circumstances allowed them to perceive and live in the world differently. And here's the part that you should pay really a close attention to. When someone changes, when they change that meaning, making structure, when they restructure their awareness, reality itself begins to feel different almost immediately. The walls don't disappear, the suffering doesn't vanish, but the texture of life shifts. Things become visible, actionable, lighter. Even just a little shift in awareness changes the way reality responds. And that's the power of tenet number 2. Reality doesn't mirror your goals, your affirmations, or even your intentions. It mirrors the structure of your self awareness. And when you start to notice that, you start to see where your freedom actually lives, not outside you, waiting for life to hand it over, but inside, as that space that exists between what happens and how you experience it. And once you see that, once you really feel that, you realize that you can step into that space, you can hold that space, and everything begins to shift in response. And again, sometimes immediately, sometimes gradually, but always inevitably. Because the structure of your awareness is what shapes your reality.
So I know that there are some of you that are still wondering, what was that one thing Gary's teacher told him that flipped the switch so many years ago? Well, he said, when you look in the mirror, if you have a frown on your face, do you wait and expect the reflection in the mirror to smile first? It just stopped me in my tracks. I mean, I thought about it, and it was like there was an entourage of movers in my brain that started to scrambling and reorganizing and sorting things out, all the way back to my earliest memory of complaining about how unfair this stupid life was, and that I was doomed to reach mediocrity at best. And as all that restructuring was going on in my brain, I could sense that even my body was also realigning with my core authentic truth. And I stood there frozen in time, and he could see it too, right? So he let me just stew in it for a little bit. Then he continued and he said, "No, of course you don't, because it's just reflecting what's at the source." I mean, that's all it's designed to do. He said, "You are the source, and what you put out is what you get back." It's one of the laws of the universe that we live in. The mirror has no agenda, has no bias. Its only purpose is to reflect back to you what's emanating from the source, so that then you can assess to see if it's in alignment with your preferences or not, and make adjustments accordingly as you go through your life. So, so when you are struggling or life doesn't seem to be going your way, just take a moment, step back, and recognize that it's not because you're doing something wrong. It's usually because you're slightly out of alignment with how life actually responds to you. Because we all have our own individualized core programming, but some of you were conditioned to stop tuning into it. Others can feel it, but for some reason, you choose to ignore it. And so this is why we've set up a free tool for anyone to unlock their core mastery cipher in under 60 seconds. That core mastery cipher is like a Rosetta Stone for what makes you tick when it comes to tapping into your greatness and breaking through all the conditioned fears, limitations, and lies that you've been fed. If you want to unlock your core mastery cipher and finally figure out your own personalized roadmap to breakthrough after breakthrough, then just drop a hashtag cipher, that's CIPHER, hashtag cipher in the chat, and we'll send you the link so you can go in and get it done in under 60 seconds. And this could seriously be the pivoting point you've been waiting for. You'll thank us for it after, I promise you. So just drop the hashtag cipher, CIPHER, in the chat, and then click the link, and we'll click the link when we send it to you, and 60 seconds, and you'll have your cipher.
Okay, so now that you really sat with Viktor Frankl's story, and it's a profound story. If you ever have a chance to read it, it'll blow your
And
mind.
Search for Meaning. That's the name of the book. Gotta go
Yes.
check it out.
And I hope that you can feel the weight of what he discovered. Because the question is, okay, that's amazing, but how do I actually use this in my own life? And that's a great question. Because tenet number two isn't something that you just think about or nod along with. Okay, and you'll find that most of our videos are not like that. This is something that you experience. And the good news is that you don't need to wait for life to hand you a crisis to try it out. You can step into this space even when things are calm and feel the shift immediately. Because if it's calm, it can be calmer. If it's happy, it can be happier. So let's do a little live experiment together. You can do this sitting at your desk, standing in your kitchen, wherever you might be right now, whether you're live or watching on the replay. Just take a moment and just be present. Where are you? Okay, and first, I want you to pause. Take a deep breath and notice where your attention is right now. What are you thinking about? What are you feeling? Don't judge it. Just notice it. This is your raw awareness, your starting point. And then next, gently bring your attention inward. Instead of focusing on thoughts or feelings, try to notice the space behind your eyes and chest. That subtle awareness that is watching your thoughts happen. You don't have to change anything. Just let yourself feel that you are noticing, that you are aware of being aware. Now, here's the key part. In this space, ask yourself quietly, what am I aware of right now that I usually overlook? Don't rush for an answer. There's no right or wrong. Let the awareness widen naturally. Maybe you notice the tension in your shoulders, the hum in your environment, the subtle thoughts running in the background. Maybe you notice patterns in how you interpret what's happening around you. Just notice. Finally, give yourself this gentle internal cue. From here, infinite choices exist. And then pause. Let that settle. Don't try to force anything. Just feel the difference. You might notice a lightness in your thinking, a subtle sense of clarity, a little more space between stimulus and reaction. That's reality responding to a shift in your awareness structure. Even if it's small at first, doing this regularly, even for a minute or two, trains your awareness to notice that space between what happens and how you experience it. And the more you practice, the more reality itself begins to reflect a version of you that is coherent. It's calm and aligned with what I like to call your core radiance. And the beauty of this is it's not abstract. You'll see it in the little things first. A conversation flows more smoothly, a challenge feels less heavy, an opportunity you didn't notice before suddenly becomes clear. This is tenet number 2 in action. This is how your inner structure begins to shape the outer world. And all it takes is a little pause, a little noticing, and the willingness to inhabit that space right now.
So, this tenet really shakes the idea that life just happens to us because it doesn't. It's also a reminder that life isn't some random chaotic accident that we got pushed into at birth, right? What it is a living mirror of the composition of your thoughts, your perceptions, and even your emotional patterns you've carried around for years. Your reality is constantly reflecting your self awareness. Think of it like an ongoing dance. Your inner world and your outer world are in conversation all the time, reshaping each other, responding to each other moment by moment. Yeah, and I love this old story that illustrates it perfectly. Okay. There are these two travelers who arrived at the gates of this bustling city, right? The first traveler asks the gatekeeper, "Sir, what kind of people live here?" And the gatekeeper, curious, asks, "Well, what kind of people lived where you came from?" The traveler looks kind of perplexed and frowns a little bit, and then he says, "Well, they were selfish, unfriendly, hard to trust. That's why I moved." The gatekeeper just, looks at him, nods knowingly, and says, well, you'll find the same here," and lets him on his way. Then later, the second traveler arrives and asks the same question. And again, the gatekeeper asks about the people back home. And the traveler smiles this time and says, "Oh, well, they were generous, they were kind, they were always willing to help." And the gatekeeper says, "You'll find the same here." Now, the city didn't change, the streets were the same, the people were the same, but each traveler's lens, the way they were seeing the world, projected a reality that matched that inner world. And that's what this tenet is pointing to. Reality isn't some rigid wall you bang your head against like I used to do. Right? It's a mirror. It's more like a mirror. Your beliefs, your expectations, the way you see yourself. That's the structure of reality that shapes what shows up around you. So here's what looks like. Here's what it looks like in real life. Maybe you're carrying the story, "I'm not good with relationships." We've all got our own different stories, right? Maybe that's the one you're carrying. Well, that's a blueprint for perception. Your awareness bends around it. So you notice rejection faster than connection. You misread kindness for pity. And you push away the very thing that you say that you want. Because your inner lens literally shapes what you experience. But now, imagine you start to evolve that awareness, even a little, into, "I'm someone capable of giving and receiving love." Different lens, right? Suddenly, you have an entourage of movers in your brain and your body, reorganizing, shifting, and even upgrading your perception. And you start noticing gestures of care that you used to miss. You start to respond to connection differently. And your reality begins to mirror that new inner blueprint. The outer world shifts because the inner world shifted first.
And that is the beauty of this tenet. The structure of reality isn't rigid, it's responsive. The code, the script, the architecture of your experience, it all comes from the structure of your self awareness. So the question isn't, why does this keep happening to me? The question is, who am I being right now? And what structure of awareness am I holding on to? Think about that. What am I holding on to? What am I cherishing? What is this I can't let go? What is my reality? Because what that awareness is what my reality is reflecting. Because when that shifts, everything else starts to follow. So we're streaming this on a few different platforms. So if this episode sparked something for you or gave you a little insight you can actually use, go ahead and hit that like button, please. And subscribe if you want. So you'll keep showing, and we want you, because we want you to keep showing up here. We have a lot of followers and such, but share this, come back, because these shows that we do are exponential and they're compounding. And share it with somebody. Who do you know that carries that dark cloud with them every day, everywhere. Okay, and we'd also like to hear some of your stories. If you do this, the 2-minute program that we just went through, let us know what you felt. Okay, drop a comment below and tell us what stood out, or how you're going to try it in your own life, and then keep us informed. Let's keep this conversation going, and again, pass this along. This is,
Right.
everybody seems to think that you have to go through months of therapy or classes, and we're like, no, it only takes a few minutes a day. So try it out.
All right. So thanks for stepping into the space and learning, and a space of learning and possibility with us. That concludes this episode of the Infinite Wisdom Experience. Your time, your attention, and your presence, it all matters to us more than you know. So thanks for showing up. And now we leave you with a dare. We dare you to be exceptional today, tomorrow, and every day after that. And it's totally doable.
Hmm.
And it's way simpler than you think. All you have to do, all you have to do is implement what you learn and learn from what you implement. So till next time, be well, everyone. Thanks for joining us,
Thanks
Infinite
a lot.
Wisdom Experience.
See you
Bye-bye.
later. Bye bye.